What is going on today, Miami Dolphins fans? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network. I think as of recording today's video, we got like 14 or 15 days before the 2024 NFL draft. And quite honestly, those days, I want them to fly by because, one, I love the NFL draft. I need to know what our new crop of rookies is going to look like. But at the same time, I got a lot of videos to get to. I got a lot of prospects to cover in these videos. So I need all the days that I can possibly get. So yeah, we're going to tackle another one of these videos today. We recently completed our first round offensive line targets. If you missed that video, go ahead and go back and check that one out. But today we're going to stay on the position of offensive line, just turn our attention to those that the Miami Dolphins may target in the second round. So we're going to jump in 1 second. But first, I want to hear from you. In the comment section, go ahead, drop your ideal second round offensive line target for the Miami Dolphins. Curious to see where your head's at. Curious to see who your preferred option would be. But like I said, I got my top 5 and we're going to jump right in today. I got Cooper Beebe at 5 from Kansas State. And I'm kicking this off a little bit weird because I'm putting Cooper Beebe on this list, oddly enough, to talk a little bit more about why I don't necessarily want the Miami Dolphins to draft him. So hear me out here, because I know a lot of Miami Dolphin fans really like Cooper Beebe, and I do think that he can be successful at the next level. But I personally think that he is best suited in an offense that's maybe not as heavy in zone blocking when it comes to the running game. He's not the most athletic at the position. He's a bit slow off the snap. He's not going to excel at getting to those next level blocks in the running game. So while I think he is starter quality in the NFL, I just don't know if I see it as much with our style of offense. Now, I will tell you this. The guy is strong as hell. Best of luck finding another offensive line prospect in this year's draft that's going to match him with his strength. So, yeah, he checks the box of bringing added physicality to the offensive line. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't know if that alone is enough to make up for the difference between him and some of the other guys that I'm going to talk about that make today's top 5 list. So I say that saying, will I be absolutely devastated if we select him at number 55 overall in the second round? No, it's not. I'm not going to lose sleep over the pick. However, I do think that we can do better if we go offensive line in the second round. So let's jump into number 4. Kiran Amegadjie. Yeah, that's a name that you're going to have to learn, and it's going to be a fun one for Dolphins fans if we end up taking Kiran Amegadjie, an offensive tackle out of Yale. I feel personally, when it's come to offensive linemen, so far we've talked about this offseason, specifically in the last video and then once again in today's video, guys with short arms have been coming up more often than not. So we're going to change that up with Amegadjie right now, whose arms measured in at 36 1/8 inches long at the NFL Combine. And man, he uses them pretty well to his advantage. He actually kicked off his collegiate career with 10 starts at right guard, but then his final 14 starts came at left tackle while at Yale. He actually only appeared in 4 games last year due to a quad injury, so not as many outright starts at tackle as you would like to see. Still good overall experience, though, when you factor in the time that he spent at right guard right away while at Yale. One thing about him as it pertains to this video, we're talking about number 55 in the second round. I personally think that's maybe a little bit too early for Amegadjie. So the caveat that I'm going to throw into this is that I prefer him if we end up with another pick. Maybe we do some trading. Maybe we end up late second round, early third round. That, in my opinion, at least, it's the NFL draft. Anything can happen, but that would be my sweet spot. That would be my honey spot for Amegadjie. But man, the traits that he has athletically, the length that he possesses, if he can make that transition from low-level Division I football at Yale in the Ivy League to the NFL, which that's a hell of a task. That is a tall task. But man, if he can do that, he has got that athletic profile to be a quality tackle at the next level. If you look at him with the Miami Dolphins, to wrap him up right here, I don't necessarily think he's in that starter conversation in year 1, even if he were to get some looks at right guard where we currently have that hole. He's got that experience there, as we had mentioned. I just don't necessarily think he's in that starting conversation in year 1. But we currently need depth, and we need to look to the future where we can get some guys in that pipeline that can eventually take over as starters on this offensive line. All right, let's go to number 3. Jordan Morgan. I'm actually going to cheat. I'm actually going to cheat a little bit on this one. I think Jordan Morgan probably should have made the round 1 targets video. He's kind of like, if you look at NFL mock drafts, projections and everything, projected late first, early second round. So I'm going to sneak him into this video. Hey, we can always, like I said, we can always trade. We can trade back, get into that early second round. That's where I kind of find that sweet spot for Jordan Morgan. But man, you look at him as a prospect, you're looking at a true left tackle, 33 starts at the position over the last 3 years. Unfortunately, he did tear his ACL in 2022, but man, he bounced back in 2023, started all 12 games, earned first team all conference honors in the process. So a great way to recover from that injury. I do like him as a tackle, especially in this offense. He's got solid athleticism in that lower half, which really helps him move well, get to those second level with those blocks in the running game, kind of like we talked about with Cooper Beebe, kind of the opposite of what we talked about with Cooper Beebe, albeit at a different position. I do think that his pass protection could use a little bit of work, but I do like his feel for creating a pocket. And what do I mean by that? When he makes his set, when he gets ready to anchor for that pass protection, it's not super deep. We talked about J.C. Latham in the first video, the round 1 targets. Love Latham as a prospect. I honestly don't even think he'll be on the board at number 21. But if there's one gripe that I have with him, he gets a little too far back. He makes his sets a little bit too deep, kind of crunches the pocket a little bit too much. Jordan Morgan is almost the opposite of that. So I really like Morgan for that. But if you take Jordan Morgan, obviously playing tackle, that pick would have future sort of written all over it. Because, yeah, we have our tackles. He'd likely be in a backup role in year 1, maybe even third string, obviously with Kendall Lamb being the primary backup, at least as of now, to Teron Armstead. But then, like I said, when Kendall Lamb retires, if Teron Armstead retires after this season, maybe in 2025, it could be Jordan Morgan's position to start that year. Nonetheless, an offensive line target that is more likely suited for the future of this team compared to some of the interior guys that we've talked about that likely project to make a little bit more immediate contributions. Let's talk about some of those interior guys. Zack Frazier being one of them. He comes in at number 2 on my list out of West Virginia. You are looking at a super powerful prospect, loads of experience at center. I honestly think he would go higher in the draft if he had a little bit more going, just kind of in regards to the physical traits. Like I said, another offensive line prospect in this year's draft with less than ideal arm length. Put on his tape, though, you will see he is absolutely taking care of business from people on the interior in both the run and the pass game. He is a guy that he resorts a little bit to grabbiness once he gets beaten. The hope would be, though, that you can overcome something like that, some of those issues, with some more NFL coaching. And he's a guy that, honestly, if we keep Aaron Brewer at center, he would then have some time to develop, really work on perfecting that technique at the next level. Sorry if your screen glitched there real quick. I had to hit pause real quick. But what I was going to say is, best case scenario if the Miami Dolphins draft Zack Frazier is he crushes it this offseason in training camp. Team moves him to starting center, and then your offensive line can look something along the lines of left to right. Teron Armstead, Isaiah Wynn, you got Frazier in the middle. Maybe you kick Brewer over to right guard, and then Austin Jackson at right tackle. So I love the pick at 55, quite honestly. Frazier would be a target for me as the team's first pick in this draft in the event we move back from 2021, or from number 21 in the first round, acquire some additional draft capital along the way. But I truly think he can overcome some of those physical shortcomings that we talked about during his time in this video, simply due to how physical, how smart, and just how strong he is. All right, number 1. And the number 1 guy on my list, Christian Haynes, is actually who I ended up selecting in the most recent mock draft that I did with trades. If you missed that one, go back and check that one out as well. But if Christian Haynes is available at number 55, he's my top offensive line target in the second round. And he is in the mix for me for our top overall target at number 55 in the second round, especially if we don't go offensive line in round 1. But what I like about Christian Haynes, and quite honestly, I like a lot of things about Christian Haynes, but at least one of the things I like about him, just simply the amount of experience that he has at right guard. 49 straight games starting at the position while at UConn. He is a little bit undersized at guard by NFL standards. He can get a little bit grabby sometimes when he gets beat. Once again, a guy with not super long arms, but man, he moves people and he can finish blocks at a very high level. So like you said, fit with the Miami Dolphins. Let's look at the offensive line one more time. Left to right, you got Teron Armstead at left tackle. You got Isaiah Wynn at left guard. If you leave Brewer at center and you got Austin Jackson at right tackle, that spot at right guard currently wide open for a training camp competition. So not only is number 55 in the second round a potential sweet spot for landing Haynes as the best player available, if indeed he is available then, but it also hits arguably one of your biggest positions of need where we don't have a clear-cut starter in-house at that position. But like I said, drafting him in round 2, making it an open competition at right guard this offseason, because it's currently Liam Eichenberg, Robert Jones, Jack Driscoll, Lester Cotton. So we've got guys with NFL experience. In the event a guy like Christian Haynes isn't ready to make the step from UConn to the NFL, start from day one, we've got some options. But it's also not like our in-house guys, the guys that I mentioned, none of them are shoe-ins for that job. So adding an early round rookie to the mix, very lucrative option, at least in my opinion. I will wrap it up right there, Miami Dolphins fans. But like I said, drop your ideal round 2 offensive line targets for the Miami Dolphins in the comments. Curious to see who you have your eye on, who would be your ideal selection at the pick. I will obviously back with any breaking news as it happens. My next scheduled video, same deal, but for wide receivers in the 2024 NFL draft. So that is what I have got for today, Miami Dolphins fans. And until next time, Fins